Central Executive Committee meeting soon to review its support of the ANC in the forthcoming local government elections. Cosatu says the ANC-led tripartite alliance is facing a legitimacy crisis. Now, to discuss this further, we're joined by political analyst Dr Ntsikelelo Breakfast. Good afternoon to you, sir, and welcome to our program.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, firstly, let's paint the overall picture of the historical background of Cosatu finding itself at the crossroads of support for the tripartite alliance, basically accusing the main member of the alliance and whether or not it will decide to continue supporting it.
Yeah, so I think the challenge that Cosatu is faced with at the moment is that they feel let down by the ANC and the president simply because in the build-up to the Nazareth conference, they projected the president as someone who is worker-friendly as opposed to someone who is business-friendly. But of late, there seems to be a gravitation to market-friendly policies. For instance, if one looks at the budget that was presented by the Minister of Finance, in some quarters, it comes across as if it is inspired by neoliberalism because social grants were only increased by, I think, 10 Rand or 20 Rand or 30 Rand. And also, there were no corporate taxes that were announced. So they see that as a political assault to the working class. But Cosatu has had long-standing differences with the ANC since the time of Guille and privatization and so on. So I think they are just taking a strategic advantage of the fact that elections at local government level will be held, and they want the ANC to pay attention to their demands, in particular with regard to the increment of salaries of civil servants. So I don't think that they're going to jump ship because if they want to jump ship, it means that they will have to walk away from the alliance alongside SACP, and it must be borne in mind that Cosatu is the school of the working class, and the Communist Party is the vanguard. So the tripartite alliance, I would say, is a contested terrain. You know, it has different classes. So I think Cosatu is contesting the space as well.
Let's talk about the implication of such a stance. Looking at the historical trends, starting with the leadership of the former leader of Cosatu, Willie Madisha, this kind of scenario was biting at the top. And secondly, when you look at the demise of former Secretary General Zwelinzima Vavi also, when he got involved in the fray of support for the ANC and the leadership, it also led him to get out of Cosatu eventually. So with the leadership of Singiswa Losi now, do you think that it may also lead to that, or is this just a mock charge to warn the ANC about this gravitation towards market-friendly policies, when Cosatu is stating clearly that its lamentation is regarding the job losses, the retrenchments that have been happening, and the plans that are not showing that the interest of the workers are being taken seriously here?
I think people like Vavi and Willie Madisha, I think those ones were victims of factionalism. I think they were purged because they were, critical of some people within the tripartite alliance, in particular Vavi, I think he was critical of the economic trajectory, including, I think, Ivan Jim, the economic trajectory of the country during the epoch of former President Zuma. But at the moment, I think the relationship between Cosatu and the ANC is a different ballgame altogether, simply because there seems to be a less critical voice of the working class within the tripartite alliance. And Cosatu also has been chastised for that. So I think we are not comparing apples with apples when we are comparing the people who have been elbowed before for being critical of the leadership of the ANC and the ones that are in charge of running the Cosatu at the moment.
Right. The breakaway tendencies of labor formations would actually fizzle out eventually when you look at the trend of the 160,000 members of SAMU, which, of course, as you have been mentioning, Evan Jim, wanting to gravitate away from the ANC and stand for the elections alone. But actually, the question was, why didn't they make it to Parliament during the elections when 160,000 members could have secured them? Then this would have an underlying factor that the very same members of labor unions are the members of the African National Congress itself.
No, of course, I think you are on point on that score, because the bulk of supporters of the ANC is basically found in poor areas. And that is, the working class in townships, in villages, and so on. And of course, those people, some of them are members of Cosatu in the same way. They are also members of the ANC. But I think at the moment, the threat that Cosatu is making to the ANC is to basically twist the government and make sure that they give in to the demands that they are making. I don't think that they are going to stick to their guns. I don't think that they are going to request their members not to vote for the ANC, because I don't think that the relations between Cosatu and the ANC have broken down.
Right. Thank you very much for making time to speak to us, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Dr Ntsikelelo Breakfast is a political analyst and, of course, analyzing the ANC-led tripartite alliance relations at the moment, as you've heard this week from the Central Executive Committee of Cosatu, the message coming out that they will have to have a special meeting to discuss their support for the ANC in the local government elections. Cabinet says it's concerned that job